Empower Youth Week Masterclass. Be inspired, be connected, be transformed.
Hello and welcome to Empower Youth Week. And to this masterclass with myself and Ntsiki Mkhize, we are speaking about social entrepreneurship. And I'm super excited to share with you. And for those of you who are curious about being social entrepreneurs, I hope that by the end of this session that you are interested in taking that on. And for those of you who are already social entrepreneurs, I hope that you are encouraged and that you find a bit more clarity on going about your journey. So quickly running through our session for today, we're going to be speaking just through the basic definition of really what is social entrepreneurship and looking at the difference between traditional and social entrepreneurship. We'll speak a little bit to impact investing and just thinking about how you should position yourself. I'll also talk about, can social entrepreneurs make profit? And then, we'll then wrap up with some work that I do at MentHer and how you guys can benefit from being part of our MentHer membership community. So just as an introduction, my name is Ntsiki Mkhize. I am the founder of MentHer, which is a global mentorship network supporting female social entrepreneurs. And we specifically work with female entrepreneurs who are at idea and seed stage in their businesses. I'm also the founding editor for MentHer magazine, which is our quarterly publication where we inspire and connect and empower through the content that is in our magazine. And then also I have my master's in social innovation. So I'm really passionate about social entrepreneurship and mentorship. And I hope you see that in our session today. So let's start with the definition, right? So what is social enterprise? Now on the screen, you'll see a couple of keywords. So if I talk about social enterprise, people think about a new way of doing things. You can think transformation, social benefit, the greater good. People can think about, how society meets business, how business meets impact, communities, and how we change our communities. So there's all these words around social enterprise and what it means. And what I'd like to highlight is there's globally what social enterprise looks like in different contexts, but also want you to think about what social enterprise looks like for you. So you as a young person attending this, and if you're from Orange Farm, I want you to think about your community. I want you to think about the challenges that you have in your community. Think about the challenges you face every single day. So from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed, what are the social issues that you see around you? If you go to university in a different area, if you go to a technicon, if you go to school in a different area, or even if you work, so maybe you are part-time working and you're part-time trying to figure things out as an entrepreneur. What are the different things that you experience from point A to point Z, and kind of map that out? And in that journey, think about the different challenges that you face and then start thinking about the business solutions that could apply to those challenges. So the definition of a social enterprise really is a venture whose purpose it is to change the world for a common good, right? And that's sort of the broad definition. And when we think about a venture, there's different options for ventures of what kind of social enterprise you can start. So South Africa, for example, in particular here, we do not have a social structure or a business registration structure for a social enterprise. Unlike in the UK or the US, you can actually register a social enterprise. So in South Africa, you'd have to consider a hybrid model. But any of these business forms, so whether you are registered as a for-profit business company, whether you're registered as a non-profit organization or as a cooperative, and then in the USA, they've got the option of a benefit corporation, and in the UK, they've got what is called a KIC, which is a community interest company, and then also just like a charitable organization. Doesn't matter what business form you have, each of these business forms can work for a social good. What is important to highlight here is to think about, and we'll get to this when we speak about the impact funding, is where do you want to get your money from, right? So obviously, within a South African context, there's a difference in terms of, are you going after CSR funding, so corporate social investment? Are you going after JV funding? Are you going after J12 funding? There's all these options that are out there, and that will be informed by the business structure that you choose to register your business as. So if you're going, for example, wanting to get funding from companies and you want to be able to say to them, hey, if you support us, you will get tax deductions, then what you need to think about is registering a public benefit organization, and that allows you to issue a Section 18A certificate, and then you give that out to companies that give you donations or whatever it may be. If, on the other hand, you want to be an organization that can apply for enterprise supplier development, then it really doesn't matter what kind of SME you're registered as. Many companies are happy to work with SMEs that are for-profit businesses as part of their ESD programs. And then thinking about the purpose linked to that business, right? Obviously, you have your products and services that you're providing. Yes, you have a team and you're employing people, but thinking about the impact issues around it. So are you guys existing for an environmental purpose? Do you guys exist for community support? Do you exist for social inclusion? Which challenges are you wanting to address in the world? And then finally, the common good aspect is in all the work that you do, in the products and services that you have, and the people that you employ, or whether the people that volunteer for your organization, in thinking about the kinds of communities you work in and how you partner with communities and making sure that you're alleviating poverty in those areas. What is your end goal, right? And your common good statement is, are you reducing poverty? Are you looking at health and well-being? Are you looking at gender inequality? Are you looking at social justice? And when we speak to the Sustainable Development Goals later on, you'll then be able to see the number of different options that exist in that space. Just to quickly highlight the difference between traditional versus social entrepreneurship. So if you are in traditional business, a term you hear a lot is profit maximization, right? And that's literally what traditional business is about. It's a business that starts and has products and services. It's money that gets put in. We have shareholders. Our shareholders have invested. And everything that we do is about profit maximization, which means we're able to pay out our shareholders more money. And that's traditional business, right? Like pure capitalism. But the issue with that is the kinds of trade-offs businesses make. So oftentimes you'll see that a corporate, in order to be able to pay out higher dividends to their shareholders, could decide to retrench half their organization. If it doesn't make sense to their bottom line, they can do it. There's no social mission in that. A big challenge that we have at the moment is if you look at a lot of the environmental issues that we have from oil and gas companies, from a lot of plastic usage companies, from a lot of beverage companies, the social impact of what they do, even if they're producing your favorite drink, right? The social impact of that has an adverse effect on our world as a whole, right? And then on the other hand, you've got your social enterprises, and social enterprises exist to eradicate those issues, right? So it's not just, for me personally, it's not just the social good that you do, but even in running your business, I do believe that social enterprises need to think about good employee practices, right? You can't be doing all this good stuff externally and be a rubbish boss, if I can put it that way. So a social entrepreneur would think about the long-term focus, right? Like in the end, what are we wanting to do? Social entrepreneurs think about profit as a means to an end and not the end. So when you're looking for money for your business, it's to enable the social good that you want to do versus just having profit so you can pay out higher dividends. I'm highlighting the fact that social entrepreneurs care about a social cause and wealth as a means to an end, to work beyond what the market states. And then overall, social entrepreneurs have value for large-scale transformational benefits for society. So a lot of the work that you'll find yourself doing as a social enterprise is mission-driven, right? So yes, there's the mission of your organization, but you also find that if you are working in a space where people have traditional beliefs about how things should be, a lot of the work that you also then do with your organization is advocacy. So if you are if you're interested in fashion, for example, so if you're listening to this and you're a fashion designer, but you're a conscious fashion designer, and therefore that means the clothes or the fabric that you use to make your clothes needs to be sustainably procured and sustainably produced. So meaning that you won't use polyester, which has lots of plastic in it, and you want to use fibers that are authentic. Even in your cotton selection, you might want to use cottons that are grown in a certain region with companies that care about, how they use the water, whatever it is, right? Those are business decisions that you make. And if you're in a space where no one else is thinking about fibers that are environmentally friendly, while you're producing your fashion line, you're also advocating for making sure that the fashion industry as a whole is more mindful about the kinds of fabrics that it uses, its impact on the environment, as well as closing the loop in the fashion economy. And that's very different from how a lot of traditional businesses are. Traditional business generally looks at wealth as a measure for value, and they normally drive the market system, so they will extensively produce and just push it out there. And you see this if you're in fashion. We have fast fashion because fashion houses produce tons of fashion to put out there, right? And then also they focus on the market is just to make profits, and it's personal. And so you think about that as a founder and where you sit on that scale and where you want your business to sit on that scale as well. So simply put, what is a social entrepreneur? A social entrepreneur is someone who starts a business with the purpose of creating social impact. And I want to say to you up front, you don't have to do all the social impact, right? It's not upon you to change the entire world. Just pick a pocket and do your bit, right? So if you are in fashion, think about the different touch points from a fashion space that can have social impact. If you are in transport, think about those particular things, So yes, you're in transport, and I mean, one of the challenges with transport is the high levels of carbon emissions, So you might choose to have a carbon emission tracker, or to change the kind of vehicles you use in your fleet, if that's an option, or to kind of restructure the amount of trips that you do so that you're doing less trips and therefore saving the environment. If you are in the food sector, you want to think about food security and what are you doing with your offcuts of food? How are you growing your food? Who are you partnering with and supporting in that process? So you don't have to do everything, right? Don't listen to this and be like, oh, I need to be a social entrepreneur and change the entire world. The little bit that you do is you playing your part to change the world. And all of us as corporate citizens will do that together. As global citizens, will do that together. So this is just an illustration to say on the scale of traditional business to charity, in the middle there is where you find the social enterprise that takes on a socially responsible business. And there's a balance there between the profit motive and the purpose motive. And then thinking about this, social entrepreneurship is that space in the middle where you're looking at your social mission, your entrepreneurial strategy, and then how do you innovate and introduce sustainable solutions in your business, and in that combining people, planet, and profit, right? So not doing everything, but going, we're going to partner with people that have the same values or that share the same mission. We're going to be mindful about our impact on the planet, and we're going to pursue our mission while making profit. And profit really just means you're able to remain sustainable in your organization. That is very important, because if you're fulfilling a specific need and then you disappear, who then comes in to take over and support your beneficiaries? So a question on, where do I start? I hope all of you have heard about the Sustainable Development Goals, which were developed by the United Nations and agreed upon in 2015. Before that, we had the Millennial Development Goals, and the SDGs are set out to be completed or to be achieved by the year 2030. Those have also informed the National Development Plan that South Africa is currently on, and I do hope you guys have heard about that. And the goal for that is 2030 as well. And you'll see on the screen, there's 17 different goals that you can associate to. So whether it's ensuring that there's no poverty, whether you're looking at food security, whether you're looking at good quality education, reducing inequalities, water security, food security, making sure that our climate is on track so that we can continue to live on the planet. Whatever it is, you can align yourself in any of those spaces. So if you go back to that journey that you were thinking about earlier on, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, your commute from home to work or from home to school, the challenges that you face in those different spaces, the challenges you face in those communities, any of those challenges can be slotted into the Sustainable Development Goals. And that's a really great place to start. It's also really helpful for funding. A lot of funders do want to know what your alignment to the SDGs are. So speaking about funding, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about venture capitalists, angel investors, and so forth. And in a South African context, it's very important for you to think about the stage of business that you're in, which will inform the kind of funding that you need. So if you're just starting and you just have an idea, really like friends and family, raise your capital through that. If you're looking for cash to give you just cash flow as you do certain operations, so maybe you're completing a deal, but they're only going to pay you in 3 months or in 90 days, whatever it is, then you probably just want an extension of a loan, so you just have revolving cash flow. But if you're growing your business, then you're wanting to look for more growth funding, right? And those are things that you can find with CIFA, with CEDA, with the NEF. If you just Google funding organizations in South Africa, a whole list will come up. But impact investing is specific to social entrepreneurship, where apart from the traditional VCs that are looking to maximize profit, we have impact investors who are seeking to maximize the overall impact. So impact investors, different to just traditional capitalist investors, care about your overall impact. So yes, they might want a profitable return on their investment, but more important than the profitable return is the fact that you're actually achieving a certain level of social responsibility, community, environmental impact. And a big term that you'll hear a lot of is ESG, which stands for environment, social, and governance. And that you can also just Google JSE impact companies, and it'll give you a list of companies that are listed in the South African Stock Exchange, and those who have high motives aligned to impact investing. And then just to show you on a scale from a traditional investment to philanthropy, so traditional investment is investing in businesses looking for financial yields. And then all the way on the other side is philanthropy, where people is just looking for social return. So that's where you'll find a foundation set up in somebody's name, and they'll give out money for children to go to school, and they're not looking for a return, right? So if you're a charity, you're probably looking for the philanthropic kind of funding. Somebody who's gone, I'm passionate about orphans and I will give all this money for orphans and I don't need any money back. If you're on the traditional side of business, you're looking for an investor that's like, okay, how quickly can we scale your business? How much money can we get back? How quickly can we maximize our returns? But if you're a social enterprise, you're going to sit somewhere there in the middle. And you're going to be in a space where your investors are looking for social responsible and green investments, meaning that they can highlight their impact in terms of sustainability. And they are looking at how do we build the universe. They're thinking about the environmental impact. They're thinking about the social impact. And that's how they're measuring the return. So even if all your business does is break even, those kinds of investors are okay with that. Impact investment is often orientated towards your social and environmental objectives, which is why it's very important that if you can link back your business to the SDGs, you can then show how the work you're doing in your business is linked to a specific social impact, and you can best align that to what your investors are looking for. And then finally, I'd just like to share with you what we do at MentHer. So just for attending this masterclass, but also this conference that's running this week, I thank you for showing up for yourself and investing in yourself. And we'd like to give you a free copy of our MentHer magazine. So you can get that at our website, www.menther.co.za/magazine. I do believe the team will be sending it out in the thank you notes, so do look out for that. And then the second thing that we have at MentHer is our Social Impact Founders Club. And that is specifically designed to support female founders who are running impact businesses. So if you just have an idea, if you've just started, we are the community for you. And for those of you who are part of the business competition running this week, we are giving away 1 year's free membership to the top 5 winners or the finalists in the competition. So we look forward to connecting with you. But if you want to connect with us, please do find us on social media, and we'd like to link up with you there and share more information on social entrepreneurship and how you can play your part to make a positive impact through a sustainable business. Finally, I'd like to say to you, with all things done, a quote that I really like by Mino Myers is to go out into the world and do well, but most importantly, go out into the world and do good. Nyasonk is funi mali, and we'll get there eventually. But in the process of your hustle, do think about how you're impacting other people in the process and on the journey. And I do believe that as we go, we grow together. And the better we do for our communities, the better we do for one another. And ultimately, I'd like for you to think about social entrepreneurship, not just as something that we do to fix a problem, but something that we do to transform society so that problems no longer exist. Thank you so much for attending this masterclass. I wish you all the best in your journey in starting and growing your business.
For more informative videos, visit www.empowaYouth.co.za.